I didn't experience anything weird in my left glute overnight, and today the stiffness is kind of gone. I still feel like it's not 100%, but I know that this is going to take some time and I will try not to piss it off, but feel definitely much better from yesterday at least. Though what doesn't look much better from the last time is this first set of high pull-ups. I noticed that after the first repetition, I wasn't really able to get into many explosive ones afterwards. They all looked like normal pull-ups. And I feel it's because if I'm going into a dead hang after the first rep, I am already setting up some fatigue in there and I am not really able then to generate as much power from a static start. While in the second set here, I was getting into a bit of a groove and chaining the reps together, and I noticed that I was doing a much better job, even if at some point I wasn't really capable of keeping my rhythm going. I just got into a bit of a momentum, of a swing, and I could still get a couple of decent reps in. And in the third set here, I was trying to accommodate for the fatigue setting up by doing repetition where I was starting from the floor on each one, then jumping in, getting a bit of a swing, and pulling up as high as I could. I think that this is probably a better way to deal with the first set also. So I could start by doing this and then going into chaining reps together or alternating these two ways of doing it. I feel like it's probably the best way to deal with low rep sets of very explosive and high intensity movements like this. And now that I'm also thinking about how I could progress this, I was noticing both during the sets and also by looking at them right now that I'm not really pulling all the way down to the belly bottom anymore. I am kind of content with achieving the rep range that I set up for the exercise at hand, and this is something that is not really great in on an exercise where I am really trying to get each repetition to be its own thing and pull as hard as I can on each one of them. In here there's camera that just got knocked off, my tripod died, so I'm waiting for a new one. But when I'm thinking about the way that I want to progress these high pull-ups, I feel like I'm almost comparing them and doing the same thing that I'm doing with the two-step approach jumps, where I can do sets of 5 without feeling gassed by the 5th repetition. And that's of course because I'm jumping from the floor. But if I'm hanging or I'm doing something explosive with my upper body, I cannot really generate that kind of power and expect to be doing the same volume and intensity as with something from the lower body, where my legs can generate much more power from the floor. So I need to treat them slightly differently, and I might be starting to do a few sets that I feel qualify as good repetitions, and even if there are only 2 or 3 in a set and then it just degrades to the point of a normal pull-up, that's fine, so long as I am putting as much effort as I can in each repetition. And hopefully eventually I will be starting to go higher and higher, because as I was saying before, I don't really feel like I am pulling all the way to the belly bottom. So there is a point where I kind of get my head above the bar and I stop pulling. Just I let the momentum carry me up and then I go back down. But the way that I should be doing these is pulling all the way down, almost like I'm shooting myself into the ceiling, which is not going to happen anytime soon, but this is the mentality that I need to have with this specific exercise, I think. But while I was rambling about the high pull-ups, most of the session kind of passed by. I was happy with the way that I was dealing with incline dumbbell presses. I stayed at 20 kilos and I was getting up to 10 repetitions. And then I was doing some wrist curls. And luckily I did find all the dumbbells that I needed, so I was able to add 1 repetition on each set of those. I think that I will be keeping the wrist curls on 2 sets per session when I'm doing those, because it's just isolation stuff, and it's something that it's mostly helping me in terms of wrist health when I'm doing the handstands here. Unfortunately, handstands weren't really looking the greatest here. I didn't feel really good at those, but I did feel good on the incline dumbbell presses, and I think that I might be adding a 3rd set when I am getting to 10 to 12 repetitions for the both sets that I'm performing in this session here, and then progressing in the same way that I was kind of outlining over the last few days. And this is the last exercise of the session. I was feeling a bit of discomfort, slight tightness in the back of my right knee when I was performing these. So I decided to stay extra safe, just performing a couple of these where I'm going all the way up, but then I was actually helping myself a little bit with my arms as I was doing the other few repetitions in a way that allowed me to get some volume in and not really placing too much stress on that part of the leg. And at this point, yeah, this was the end of it. I was kind of tired and I knew that it was the time to go home. Ciao.